Hello everybody, welcome back to the AdvancedVape channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Profile RDA from WOTOFO and MRJUSTRIGHT1, and that's a YouTube reviewer. This has been out for a little while now, but I've never reviewed a mesh product, so I thought it would be cool to talk a little bit about mesh RDAs, and I know that mesh sub-ohm tanks are really popular. This is obviously a mesh rebuildable. I've tried other mesh RDAs, and they were never really very good to me, so that's why I didn't review them in the past. They're just kind of sitting in the graveyard of RDAs that I have that I don't use anymore. This one is a little bit different, though. I'll talk a little bit about the way it looks and the stuff that comes in the box, and then we'll build on it and try it out. So it's got a honeycomb airflow, adjustable. You can't fully close it, but twist to adjust. And it also has the locking notch that I like. It locks down to make sure that it's in the right position. This is pretty standard, nothing really unique going on there. As for the base, 2 clamps on the sides to clamp the mesh, or the coil if you want. This is obviously intended for mesh though. And the coolest thing about this would be this white section here. This is spring loaded. If you can see that, it goes up and down. And the huge advantage that gives is to push the cotton up against the mesh. That's kind of a huge issue with mesh, is keeping wet cotton in surface, like in contact with the surface of the mesh. So other RDAs, like the AdvancedVape Mesh RDA, it performs fine, but very quickly the cotton will start to collapse and lose contact with the mesh. So you'll have just one piece of that mesh that's just getting red hot, and it ends up ruining the flavor and being kind of gross. So the point of this is to always keep the cotton pushed up against the mesh. You also have the squonk pin right in the center there. To push juice up if you're using a squonk. In the package, you've got several of these mesh strips. They're Kanthal A1. You've got one N80 coil. They call it a frame staple Clapton, but I don't think it's that. It's something that they are calling a staple. Whatever. Not going to use that. They've got one huge piece of cotton that I'm also not going to use. Bag of O-rings and all of that stuff. It also comes with extra springs in there. And an extra drip tip. Okay, so if you've ever seen my channel before, you know that I really don't like Kanthal at all. I've used it on this because that's what it comes with. That's the option you've got. This isn't really that easy to do your own thing on. I have tried 316L mesh on this that I stole from a different RDA. And I'll talk about that a little bit later when we come to use it. But this is what it comes with, and this is what's available for this in that brand. So that's what I'm going to be using on the review today. It also comes with this little tool. It's like a wrapping jig. And this outer section, you just kind of bend your coil over. Not coil, but you bend your mesh over. To get it to the right shape. so that it fits easily in there, and just screw it down. Very easy to build on. That's it pretty much. It's a little bit more difficult if you want to use your own mesh. You have to cut it to the size of this one. This one is kind of perfectly sized. So it took a little bit of back and forth to use a different mesh. This one is just kind of ready to go. And it's also a little bit harder to bend different materials using this. The 316L didn't really want to keep its shape when I bent with this because it's softer. And you just want to make sure that it's kind of even. You'll see how fast that ramp is. It's pretty close to instant. Okay. I'm going to be using Kindle Gold on this. Not a big fan of using cotton that comes in RDAs, so I just didn't even try the one that it came with. I'm going to just take the entire strand. This is how Kindle Gold comes, so just the entire strand, and start with that. Maybe break off a third of it and see how that works. If you can see the spring just kind of pushes it solidly up against there. That's quite a bit of cotton. Overall, pretty easy to build. Really, you're not going to be changing the actual wire in there that often, but you'll definitely be re-wicking it. So it locks on with the airflow in the proper orientation there. And the squonk works well. The holes are a little bit too small to make it so the juice easily comes out, but if you give it a chance and you just hold it full, it will come out. This was from the bottom of it there. One thing I've noticed is that it does take quite a while for the squonk to drain back out. Some atomizers are faster than others. This one is a little bit on the slow side to empty the juice back out after you stop pushing on the button there, or the squonk bottle. So I usually have the airflow pretty much all the way open, right about there, if you can see. You can adjust it. If you can see, the firing is very, very fast. Okay, let's give it a try. As you can see, it's really big on the clouds. You have to keep the cotton very, very saturated to get some good flavor going there. It's a little bit on the cool and dry side unless you keep the cotton extremely saturated. So as far as Kanthal goes, the flavor is actually pretty good. I hate Kanthal coils, so I never use them, but kind of being forced into using the Kanthal on this one, that's what it comes with. I was pleasantly surprised. It's not bad. I prefer 316L mesh on there It performs a little bit differently, but I feel like the flavor is a little bit better. The flavor on this is, like I said, it's very cool. So you don't get that warm density that you get from some really heat dense coils. This is definitely better for fruit type flavors or kind of the lighter flavors instead of like heavy desserts and creams, because it just doesn't have the heat density to get those cream flavors across. If you like a cool vape though, it really is very good. There's plenty of airflow to kind of cater to how you like it. I prefer more airflow because that ends up giving you a little bit more of that juice mist that kind of brings the flavor along with it. I feel like if you close the air down too much, it does help the warmth a little bit, but it kind of just makes the flavor suffer. So that's why I prefer the air almost all the way open here. I would have really liked to see a little bit more options as far as the mesh. The actual performance, though, for a mesh RDA is the best one that I've used. That little spring platform that pushes the cotton up is kind of the key to making this work as well as it does. It keeps contact with the mesh, and I haven't had any problems with the cotton collapsing down to the point where it does what the WOTOFO mesh did, which is have little hot spots where there's no juice touching the mesh right there, so it gets red hot in that spot. So I haven't had anything like that on this. It's just been, you kind of put it in there and it works. Very easy to use kind of thing. I'd really like to see them kind of develop this platform a little bit more. Maybe make an RTA or just keep working with it a little bit and see what they can come up with. I feel like an RTA would be very possible with that setup, and it's just a good idea with the spring loaded. It works where the other mesh RDAs were finicky at best. So it's kind of the best evolution that I've tried so far of a mesh platform. That being said, I still prefer regular coils because it has the heat density to kind of give me the vape that I prefer. But if you're on the cooler side, it's absolutely worth checking out. Overall, I'm happy with it. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. As far as mesh goes, it's the best that I've used. It's just a good squonk atomizer in general. If you like the way that mesh vapes, absolutely check this one out. So that'll bring us to the end of this quick review on the Profile RDA from WOTOFO. If you like this review on our channel, give us a like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments or send me an email. Thanks.